Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to today's presentation. I'm delighted to have you here. Today, we'll be exploring the qualifications of Dr. S.K. Singh, who specializes in gas chromatography. We'll look at his background and the significance of GC in analytical chemistry. Over the next few slides, I'll guide you through the key points and insights. Let's get started. Gas chromatography, or GC, is a powerful analytical technique we use to separate, identify, and measure different compounds within a mixture. It's especially useful for volatile and semi-volatile substances, which tend to vaporize easily. The core idea is that we have a mobile phase, which is an inert gas like helium, nitrogen, or hydrogen that carries the sample through a stationary phase inside a column. The sample components are first vaporized into gas form, then pushed through the column by this inert gas. As they travel, each compound interacts differently with the stationary phase, based on their volatility and how they interact chemically. This causes them to move at different speeds, effectively separating them over the course of the run. Once separated, these compounds are detected by specific detectors, such as FID, TCD, or ECD, which help us identify and quantify each component. This process is fundamental in many fields, from environmental analysis to pharmaceutical testing, and it ties into our overall theme of understanding complex mixtures through advanced separation techniques. Let's talk about the qualification lifecycle, which is a key part of ensuring our equipment and systems perform reliably and meet all necessary standards. First, we have the User Requirement Specification, or URS. This is where we define the purpose of the equipment, its required performance, the software involved, and any data rules we need to follow. It sets the foundation for everything that follows. Next is Design Qualification, or DQ. Here, we verify that the instrument we plan to purchase actually meets the specifications outlined in the URS. It's about making sure the design aligns with our needs before making any commitments. Then comes Installation Qualification, or IQ. This step involves documenting that the equipment has been installed correctly, including utilities and the environment in which it operates. It's about confirming everything is set up properly and according to plan. After that, we move to Operational Qualification, or OQ. This is where we test the individual components of the instrument under expected working conditions. It helps us verify that the equipment functions correctly and consistently during normal operation. Finally, we have Performance Qualification, or PQ. This phase demonstrates that the equipment performs reliably over time, under real-world conditions, ensuring it can deliver consistent results in everyday use. Together, these steps form a comprehensive life cycle that ensures our processes are validated, compliant, and capable of producing high-quality results consistently. Let's take a closer look at what we need to document to ensure compliance and quality. First, the Essential Qualification Documents, or EQDs, are fundamental because they provide the baseline information about equipment, processes, and personnel qualifications. Next, we have the User Requirement Specifications, or URS, which clearly outline what the system or equipment must do to meet user needs. Protocols are also critical, covering Installation Qualification, IQ, Operational Qualification, OQ, and Performance Qualification, PQ. These documents verify that equipment is installed correctly, operates as intended, and performs consistently. Calibration logs are essential too, as they record all calibration activities, ensuring ongoing accuracy of instruments and systems. Raw data, run results, and screen prints serve as the primary evidence of how processes are performed and their outcomes. This data must be meticulously recorded and retained for traceability and validation purposes. Review and approval by QA is another vital step. This ensures that all documentation has been checked for accuracy, completeness, and compliance before it's finalized. Traceability to standards is key to demonstrating that all activities and data align with regulatory and quality standards. Lastly, maintaining a change control history helps us track any modifications made over time, providing a clear audit trail and ensuring that changes are controlled and documented properly. All these elements come together to form a comprehensive documentation system that supports quality assurance and regulatory compliance throughout the process. Let's take a closer look at the GC calibration overview. When it comes to calibration parameters, we follow some key guidelines based on public recommendations. First, the oven temperature accuracy is critical. We typically record it at 3 points, say 40, 90, and 170 degrees Celsius, and the acceptable variation is within plus or minus 2 degrees. This ensures the oven is maintaining a consistent temperature, which directly affects the accuracy of our results. Next, we look at gas flow rates. It's important that the carrier gas, hydrogen, and air flows stay within their nominal ranges. Proper flow rates are essential for optimal separation and detection. Then there's the detector response check. Specifically, for the flame ionization detector, or FID, we need to verify both the precision of the response and the baseline noise level. This helps us confirm that the detector is operating reliably. Finally, if you're working with headspace GC, we also monitor pressure and headspace temperature. These parameters are vital for consistent sample analysis in headspace methods. Overall, these calibration steps are designed to keep our GC system accurate and reliable, supporting the integrity of our analytical results throughout the process. Let's talk about calibration frequency and checks. Typically, we follow a regular schedule to ensure everything stays accurate. For example, on a monthly basis, we check the carrier gas flow accuracy. This is crucial because consistent gas flow impacts the reliability of our results. Every 6 months, we perform more in-depth calibrations, including verifying detector linearity, injector performance, and oven temperature accuracy. These checks help us maintain the precision and consistency of our instrument over time. Additionally, it's important to conduct ad hoc calibrations after any maintenance or repairs. These quick checks ensure that the instrument remains calibrated and functioning properly after interventions. Overall, adhering to these calibration schedules helps us maintain high-quality data and reliable results throughout our analytical processes. System suitability is a crucial part of our analytical process because it helps us confirm that our instrument is ready to analyze samples accurately and reliably. It's like a quality check before we move forward with actual sample testing. Some of the common checks we perform include looking at retention time reproducibility, which ensures that our compounds are consistently eluting at the same time each run. This consistency is vital for accurate identification and quantification. Next, we assess peak area RSD, or relative standard deviation, which is a measure of precision. A low RSD indicates our system is producing consistent results, which is essential for reliable data. We also evaluate resolution, where applicable, to confirm that our peaks are well separated from each other. Good resolution means less chance of overlapping peaks, which could otherwise compromise the accuracy of our analysis. Finally, we check the tailing factor or efficiency, which tells us about the shape of the peaks. Ideally, peaks should be symmetrical and sharp, indicating optimal system performance. All these checks together give us confidence that our instrument is performing well and that our results will be accurate and reproducible. This step is fundamental in maintaining the integrity of our entire analytical process. Now, let's talk about how to prepare a calibration curve. The first step is to prepare standard solutions at least 5 different concentration levels. This range helps us establish a reliable calibration. Next, we run each standard solution through the GC, and it's best to do this in duplicate or triplicate to ensure accuracy and reproducibility. Once we have our data, we plot the peak area against the concentration for each standard. This gives us a visual representation of the relationship between concentration and signal. From there, we perform a linear regression analysis, which typically results in an equation like y equals mx plus b. This line describes how our peak area relates to concentration across the standard range. An important point here is the R-squared value, which should be at least 0.99 to consider the calibration reliable. A high R-squared indicates a strong linear relationship. Finally, we use this calibration curve to calculate unknown sample concentrations. By measuring their peak areas and plugging those into our regression equation, we can determine the concentrations accurately. This process is fundamental to quantitative analysis in chromatography, ensuring our results are both precise and trustworthy. Let's take a look at how we perform calculations using an example calibration dataset. As you can see, this involves understanding the key components of the equation, where m represents the slope and b is the intercept. These are the two main parameters we determine during calibration. The slope, m, tells us how much the response variable changes with a unit change in the predictor, while the intercept, b, indicates the starting point when the predictor is 0. In practical terms, we use these values to create a calibration curve that allows us to convert raw data into meaningful measurements. When we have our calibration data, we fit a line through the points, which gives us the slope and intercept. This way, we can accurately interpret new data based on this established relationship. Understanding this calculation is essential because it underpins the entire calibration process, ensuring our measurements are reliable and consistent. So, by thoroughly grasping how m and b work together, we can accurately translate raw signals into useful information, which is the core goal of calibration. Now let's talk about the internal standard approach. So, when should we use an internal standard? Well, it's particularly useful when we need to correct for injection variability, which can happen during sample introduction. It also helps improve the precision of our quantitative methods, making our results more reliable. The key idea here is that by adding a known amount of an internal standard to all samples, we can account for any inconsistencies in the injection process or other analytical steps. Now, how do we calculate with an internal standard? We use what's called a response factor, or RF. The formula for RF is the ratio of the analyte's response to the internal standard's response, adjusted for their concentrations. Specifically, RF equals the area of the analyte divided by the area of the ISTD, all over the concentration of the analyte divided by the concentration of the ISTD. And once we have this RF, we use it to determine the concentration of our analyte in unknown samples. So, the RF essentially links the response ratio to the actual concentration, allowing us to accurately quantify our analyte even with some variability in the process. This approach is central to ensuring the robustness and accuracy of our quantitative analysis, connecting directly to our overall theme of improving analytical reliability. Now, let's take a closer look at the acceptance criteria for calibration and qualification. First, for calibration acceptance, we need to ensure that the temperature stays within the specified limit, which helps us maintain consistent conditions. Flow rates are also critical. They must remain within set ranges to guarantee proper operation. Linearity is another key point. Here, we're looking at the R2 cutoff to confirm that our measurements are proportional across the range. Precision is equally important, and we measure this using RSD limits to ensure our system's repeatability. Moving on to qualification acceptance, there are three main stages to consider. First, IQ, or installation qualification, checks that all documentation is complete and in order. Next is OQ, or operational qualification, where we verify that all functional tests pass within defined limits, meaning the system operates as expected. Finally, PQ, or performance qualification, confirms that the system produces consistent results over multiple runs, which is essential for reliable performance. Connecting all these points, it's clear that both calibration and qualification are vital to ensure our equipment performs accurately and reliably. This systematic approach supports the overall quality and compliance of our processes, ensuring that everything functions as it should every time. Let's talk about data integrity and regulatory compliance. Ensuring that our calibration and qualification activities follow the right standards is absolutely essential. First, we want to adhere to the ALCOA++ principles. That means our data must be attributable, so we can trace it back to the person responsible. Legible, so it's clear and readable. Contemporaneous, meaning recorded at the time of the activity. Original, which ensures the data is the initial record. And accurate, of course, to reflect the true situation. Plus, we need to focus on completeness and consistency, making sure no data is missing and everything aligns properly. Next, it's crucial that our standard operating procedures, or SOPs, are up to date and have proper version control. This way, everyone is using the latest instructions and we minimize errors. And when it comes to computerized systems, audit trails are vital. They give us a secure record of all changes and activities within the system, supporting transparency and accountability. Finally, regular review by the quality assurance team keeps everything on track. Continuous oversight helps us catch any issues early and ensure compliance with regulatory standards. All these steps together form a robust framework that not only protects the integrity of our data, but also aligns with our commitment to compliance and quality. This is how we build trust in our processes and meet industry expectations. For further support, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help you with any questions or additional information you might need. Feel free to contact us through the provided channels. And with that, I want to sincerely thank you all for your time and attention today. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you, and I look forward to connecting again soon.